the answer for the individual and the answer for society are the same answer. What makes a life fulfilled and what makes a society better is service. Is thinking in terms of how I can benefit the other, rather than thinking in terms of how I can benefit myself. If you lived your whole life to help others, to benefit the lives of others in any way that you could, using whatever gifts that you have that can be shared or applied in the service of others for the highest good of others, then you would be not just doing your part, but for society, you would be following the path that leads to the most inner fulfillment. The only path, really, that leads to inner fulfillment. Now, a movie that comes to mind, well, it's based on a very popular book by Ayn Rand, sorry. I'm trying to think of whether the book was... I'm trying to think of which book it was of hers that they adapted to a movie. But anyway, it was one of the only movies in history that glorifies capitalism, and one of the main characters was an industrious capitalist entrepreneur. He was building a railway or something, and he just really loved what he did. And what he did happened to make a ton of money, and so there was he had a lot of leeches in his life, a lot of people that just sponged off of him and benefited from just being within close proximity of him, but they didn't really have the same gifts, and nor did they have the same, nor were they givers, they were takers, right? And this man was just doing what he was passionate about doing, which was building, you know? And yeah, he liked money too. But I guess the point of that movie was to say that that is that what we sometimes think of as selfishness and what we sometimes think of as selflessness they only appear that way. They're not really that way, right? So a greedy capitalist, if he's living, his purpose, if he's using his talents and skills to better the world, and he's doing it in a place of service, then it's a very different thing than somebody just living their life to serve themselves. So the level of outward success is really irrelevant to the question. The question is not whether you are a billionaire or a poor person. The question is, are you using your gifts to serve others? Are you using your great gift of existence, your life on this planet, to help others in the best way that you can? And if the answer is yes, then you're going to be happy. Even when you're not. Even when you're not happy, you're going to be happy knowing that you're doing that. different levels of happiness. There's, fleeting happiness, and then there's a more wholesome, deeper happiness that comes from fulfilling your purpose and serving others. And your purpose is to serve others. And so certain principles adhered to assiduously lead to major, powerful changes in self and in the world. Because principles of truth are pure power, and they break through all the bonds of human existence, humanness. So when we assiduously apply principles that are truth principles, like serving others with no thought for the self, no thought for what I can get out of it. Get that thought out of your head. Erase that thought from your brain. What can I get out of it? Erase that thought from your brain. How can I take care of myself? Erase it. Jesus Christ said, seek first the kingdom of heaven and all else will be added unto you. You don't have to worry about everything else. You really don't have to. And you certainly don't have to worry about money. And and some people are going to be more gifted in making money and entrepreneurialism, and that's going to be their part of their natural expression is they have the entrepreneurial spirit, and they're just going to naturally make a lot of money, and that's important to society because especially if these people are following their true passion, their true purpose, in which case they will be serving a lot of people, because it always has to do with service. Then and money by the way is part of how this world goes round. And so the people that make money make wealth. They generate wealth for others as well as themselves. There's nobody that makes money and gets rich and it makes everybody else poor. It's some people sort of see it that way, but most people that make a lot of money in an entrepreneurial way make a lot of other people a lot of money too. And even the people that are poor, they lift them out of they lift them up at least a little bit out of their poverty. It's like a rising tide lifts all ships, right? So if you add an amount of wealth to the system, then you play your part in lifting the ships. And when I say wealth, it's not just material wealth. You add wealth in many ways by sharing your gifts, and by living your purpose, and by serving others, by utilizing what you've been given for the good of all, for the good of those that you can directly or indirectly help. So that's how you lift up, that's how you change the world, and that's how you fulfill your own life in the same, with the exact same practice. It's the exact same thing you got to do. it's the best thing to do for the world, and it's the best thing to do for yourself. And so Krishna taught about it as well. He said, selfishness imprisons the world, and selfless service frees it. It doesn't just free the world, though, it frees you, right? Because the real bondage is the bondage of self. And everybody that's bound, that lives in a free society, is bound by their own self. So how do you free them, right? How do you free them? Well, you got to free yourself. You can't free the prison mates until you're out of your own cage. You have to get out of your own cell first before you can free the fellow prisoners. And so how do you free yourself? By service. By selfless service, getting out of self and doing the best, being the best you can be for the purpose of serving others in the name of God, in the name of truth, goodness, love, Christ. And when you do that, you don't have to worry about me, right? That's the whole point. You don't worry about me anymore. Rich, poor, doesn't matter. Whether you have lots of things in terms of the world, that doesn't matter. And for years I thought I needed to have X, Y, and Z. Okay, I don't have to have Y, but I need X and Z, right? But reality is you don't need any of it, because what the only thing that's going to give you fulfillment is service. And the only thing that's going to change this world positively is service. And the only thing that brings greater suffering than necessary upon this world and its inhabitants is selfishness. That's the only thing. And ignorance, right? Ignorance. But ignorance is kept in place through selfishness. And selfishness is kept in place through fear. The fear that if I don't take care of myself, then who will, right? So fear is overcome through faith, okay, and love, and a cross, right? Because sometimes we got to go through the pain of trying it our own way, trying it the world's way, realizing that the world's way doesn't work for the world and doesn't work for us. The only reason the world is not in total hell is because there are enough people living from this place of selfless service, giving of their gifts for the good of all. And even when there's a little bit of selfishness, if there's still a following of the purpose, there's still a blessing, a benefit to the world. But those that let go of all self to serve God and their fellows are those who benefit the world and themselves the most. That's the key to everything.